Well, if your hedger blades won't stop oscillating or your edger or string trimmer won't stop spinning, you got a clutch problem. Let's take a look at the fix. On the trimmers, the clutch sits right in here. These things will get left outside and water will get in here, causing the clutch to rust to the clutch drum. We need to take this housing off so we can access the clutch. We got a screw in the back. We can take the cover off, loosen up some of our cables. You don't have to take the throttle cable off. You can work it apart while leaving this on, but it's a lot easier if you take the cable off. Take the kill wires off, and now we'll pry this guy apart. It should come right apart, but because the clutch is seized on, it's not wanting to come apart. So you got to get in every spot you can and pry it apart. There we got it. And here's our issue. See all this corrosion and rust? We need to clean all this up. And same on the clutch drum side, we got to clean all this up. The clutch mounts to the flywheel with 2 screws. Let's take it off so we can give it a good bath. Looks like it sat back together a little tighter. Looks like that helped pull it back together. The spring went back down. We can pull the clutch off. Take a close look at this. You can see how bad that is. We'll pry this back plate off and we'll give it a good cleanup on the wire wheel. Don't damage this back plate when you're prying it off. And there should be some washers underneath here too, so don't lose your washers. There's our washers right there. You can see some part numbers and labeling on the front of the clutch. The numbers are the front, the 2 tabs are the back. We'll rotate it 90 degrees, take out the spring, and we'll buzz everything shining on the wire wheel. The more rust you can get off, the better, but you don't have to go down in here and go crazy. But the cleaner this is, the better it works. We'll clean everything up with some parts cleaner. Give everything a good wipe down. Boy, we can read the numbers real well. Now this step's debated, but I like to use a little bit of corrosion protection. If you use too much, it just comes off and gets in your clutch and causes slippage, and you're losing performance. If you use just the right amount, it'll prolong the life of your clutch, and you won't have to service it as often. Put this guy back together now. We'll start by hooking the spring in one side of the clutch. Make sure you have the 2 facing sides correct. Hook the spring into the other side, and then we'll stretch it back together. The part numbers are the same, so these plates are indeed the same. The only difference is the washers. Washers go on the back. These are like a spring style washer. I can tell which one's the back one, and the back side does fit better. So we're going to put the back on the back, and now we'll put the front on the front side. You can see all the residual oil on here. We're going to take this to the air compressor and blow it clean. That'll leave just enough corrosion protection on here to make this thing last a while. Should look something like that when it's ready. It's clean, it's sanitary, and mostly oil free. Grease isn't recommended. The centrifugal force will just throw the grease out onto your clutch, and then you cover your clutch drum with grease, causing it to slip. So grease isn't recommended on these. We'll put the screws through the hole, we'll line it up and screw it down, and torque the spec. Too tight, you can lock this thing together and it won't work as a clutch. Just right and it works well. We'll use the rotary tool on the clutch drum side and clean it up a little, and then give it a good wiping. Get it nice and clean in here. And now it should go back together a lot easier than it came apart. Look at that. Went right back together. We'll put the 3 screws in. We'll tighten up our bottom screw, put the cover on, and we're back in business. Let's go give this a test run. Well, that's all it was, a seized up clutch. When you put it back together, easy to over tighten it. If you over tighten it, the clutch won't come back down. It'll stay expanded and locked up, but it won't release. So clean it real good and use some Loctite. That's one thing I didn't show you. Put some Loctite on there and tighten it just to spec. Put a screwdriver in there and make sure the clutch will expand and retract. And you're back in business. This one's going right back out the door.